On the 12th of March 2006, South Africa chased down 434 to beat Australia by 4 wickets in an ODI at Johannesburg in South Africa, making 438 for 6, with one delivered to Spear, winning by 4 wickets. So, in an era where 400 runs is not safe in one-day international cricket, the West Indies making 328 for 6 on Saturday should never have taken any comfort from it. Nonetheless, we were very disappointed when England chased down their target to win the second one-day international comfortable with 15 deliveries to Spear, becoming the seventh team out of 8 to win a match at Survive, batting second. This afternoon, I have invited Basil Butcher Jr., the son of the former West Indies cricketer Basil Butcher Sr., and Roger Tracy, an organizer for cricket in South Florida in the United States of America, to tell us why the West Indies lost the match. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the #1 cricket channel in the Caribbean. I appreciate your company and look forward to your reaction. Good afternoon, Basil and Roger. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Good afternoon, Carlton. Good afternoon, Roger. And good afternoon to your viewers. And thank you again for having me on your show.
Good afternoon, Carlton, Basil, and all your viewers out there. And thank you for having me.
Yes, you are welcome, gentlemen. And we hope to and look forward to an interesting and intriguing conversation. Let me start with you, Roger. It's easy to blame the bowlers for not executing in the death overs. However, was West Indies scored below par, taking into consideration that we chased down 324 to beat England last December at this same venue?
You know, Carlton, there are always going to be opportunities there to say, we should have gotten more runs, especially with the platform that was set by Shea Hope and Keith Carty, with Sherpa and Rutherford coming in there and doing well. But, to be honest, West Indies lost a couple of early wickets. So I think based on the circumstances, I would say the guys did really well to get to that score. Having said that, I do believe, and again, as you mentioned, it is easy to blame the bowlers and say that they didn't execute well. But I think for me, there were missed opportunities when we bowled for sure, both in the field, obviously with Shea Hope dropping Livingston early in his innings, and also execution from the bowlers. I do believe that we will certainly need more penetration in our bowling attack if we have to defend a score like this. Having said that, we have seen in modern ODI cricket that these types of scores are not safe. Even if the very best of teams, we've seen Australia, England, India. We've seen all of these teams concede and not able to defend scores similar to this or scores a little bit larger. So it's one of these things that we have to accept in modern ODI cricket. But at times we're going to make large scores and we're probably going to lose. But overall, I do believe we need more penetration in our bowling.
Basil, what are your thoughts? Do you think that our score was under par? And do you think that our batsmen could have pushed it on a little more?
Look, I for full disclosure, I did not see the game, so I am not as informed as the two of you guys. However, as I looked at the scoreboard, something jumped out at me with the two middle order batters, Hope and Carty, both had a strike rate of under 100, right? Albeit we lost some 2 early wickets and there was a consolidation period, obviously. But for the entirety of their inning, for them to come up under a strike rate, my first inclination in seeing that was that we left some runs on the field that we probably could have gotten somewhere around 350. Some may disagree with my looking at the scoreboard, but you guys saw the game, and so you can give more insight in terms of that.
Well, I do not disagree with your perspective, Basil. I think that we had leave some score out there. And I looked at after the 17 overs when Carty and Shea Hope, albeit they staged the recovery, but albeit in the 17th over after the first drinks break, it was clear that our run rate, which was 4.8 at the drinks break, after 17 overs, that means that they would have recovered the innings now and would have batted long enough. But instead of after that drinks break, the run rate go up, it actually went down to 4.21 when Livingstone and Adil Rashid was batting. Again, it shows that we were unable to rotate the strike during that mega phase. And I think it was either Bethel or Jacks that Livingstone brought on, and it's that at that time we shift gear. If you look at Livingstone's strike rate, which was I think 120 something, I don't quite remember, compare it to Carty and Shea Hope after batting so long, I just think that we leave a lot of runs out there. Roger, did Shea Hope bat too slowly? Ian Carty.
You know, Carlton, to be honest, and we've been saying this for a few years. I mean, Carty and Hope, they're different players from someone like a Livingstone. We have guys in our team that will strike at 100, 120. Guys like Rutherford, guys like Hetmyer. I would like to see both Hope and Carty score a little bit quicker. But again, both gentlemen were in a phase where we were staging a recovery after losing Brandon King and Evan Lewis early. And those are obviously two of our more aggressive batsmen in the team. I've said this on numerous occasions. Shea Hope is going to play his role, and we have to accept that his strike rate is going to be somewhere between 80 and 85 for the majority of his innings, and we're hopeful that he can accelerate. Because once you face 80, 90, 100 balls, then I'm expecting you to make 125, 130. So I do believe that Shea Hope did not accelerate as much as we would have liked once he faced over 70 balls. Carty is by nature a slow starter. And I do believe, especially when batting with the likes of Hope, Carty definitely is someone who we need to really score a bit quicker throughout each phase of his innings, right? We can't always look for him to make it up towards the end. So yes, Shea Hope could have accelerated much better in my opinion.
Basil, at the drinks break, West Indies were 79 for 2. Mark you, we were 12 for 2 when we lost the wicket. So at 79 for 2 at the drinks break, those two would have added 67 already. Therefore, they would have been batting long enough and would have seen all that England have to offer. It took us another 5.3 overs. That's 33 deliveries to score the next 21 runs with two gentlemen who was well set. Is there any excuse for taking 33 deliveries to score 21 runs when you were well set?
There's no excuse in the modern limited overs. That one would say is bad batting. You already had consolidated, and you're set. You've been batting together for approximately 14 overs, right? So you went through the power play, because as I looked at the scoreboard, after it was in the fourth over that the second opener was out. So these two guys batted together 6+ overs of the power play, right? And you're saying at 17 overs, after 17 overs, then took 33 balls to get only 21 runs. No, that's not acceptable at that time at all. That has to be improved upon.
Thank you, Basil. The next question, I'm coming to you first this time now, Basil, because I want to shift gear. Shimron Hetmyer came out and he swiped 24 from 11 deliveries. When Shimron Hetmyer got out, there were still 44 deliveries left in the West Indies innings. Batting at number 6, he's supposed to be the finisher in this squad.
Mm-hmm.
And while his strike rate was 44, 11, 22, while his strike rate was over 200, probably about 209, that looks like, his
Mm-hmm.
strike rate was good. But only batting 11 deliveries and leaving 44 out there as a finisher. That, I believe, was one of the reasons why we never got a bigger score. What's your thoughts?
Now you're giving me some more context about Hetmyer's inning. I would have to agree with you. What it seems to me, Hetmyer forgot. It would seem almost that Hetmyer forgot we're playing a one-day international, not a T20 match. Because I'm looking here, he hit 3 sixes in the 24 in 11 balls. So you minus the three, that's 8 balls he took to score the other 6 runs, right? And then got out and leaving 44 runs, 44 balls to bat. No, Hetmyer supposed to know this, and this where the batsmanship and game awareness has to be acute. That I got to bat at least minimum. I got to bat minimum to 48 overs.
Thank you very much, Basil. What are your thoughts on that, Roger Hetmyer getting out after 42.4 overs, despite scoring at a strike rate of over 200? He should have taken the innings deeper.
No, absolutely, and that's one of the criticisms I have of someone like Shimron Hetmyer. Hetmyer obviously got out, and someone like Roston Chase came in, and as you can see, Roston Chase scored 20 of 22 balls. Now Hetmyer should have faced the majority of those balls. He was there with Shea Hope, who was slowly accelerating, and if they had put together a good partnership, then obviously West Indies would have gotten a much higher score. Another issue I have with this. Someone like Hetmyer, he's better than a cameo player. He's someone who we need to bat longer, someone who we need to make big scores. If Hetmyer is making 70, 80, 100 runs along with someone like Hope, he can be a match winner. I know Keith Sakarty has been given a chance at number 3, and he's done fairly well. And he's done fairly well. But in my opinion, I would actually have someone like Hetmyer batting at perhaps number 3, because I want him to spend the majority of his innings batting with Shea Hope. And then perhaps Carty could probably be pulled down to, let's say, number 5, which will force him to try to get his innings going a little bit earlier. That's my opinion. I know, Carty has done fairly decent, but I think for the team to be at its best, that's what needs to happen.
But 2 things I want to say, Basil, about what Roger just said, that Hetmyer came to the crease, saw Shea Hope, and got out, leave Shea Hope. So he wants Hetmyer to bat at number 3 because he wants him to bat more time with Shea Hope. He got an opportunity on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And the second thing about batting at that number 3, and it may well be right that Hetmyer batting at number 3, but I have to look at the trend. And Hetmyer is not batting more than 20, 25 deliveries for the West Indies. And if you want a man to bat at number 3, you want him to be able to show that he can bat at least 100, 120 deliveries. Is Hetmyer physically fit enough to bat at number 3? Can he manage batting at number 3, batting so many deliveries, Basil?
I don't know if his conditioning would enable it. That's out for the jury. I think more mentally is where the issue is, because he has been locked in this mode of coming in, swash, bang, 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 and back in the pavilion, because that's the role he has been playing in his T20 career as of late, as a finisher, and now coming into T20, back into ODI cricket, which there is a need to bat longer. It's a lot more balls and all of those things. So there's a whole mental shift that has to occur. And based on looking at how he batted, one would argue he has not made that mental shift.
Thank you. I'm coming to you now, Roger Tracy, and I'm going to go in at the bowlers now. Labuschagne, Marnus Labuschagne, the Australian middle-order batsman, had said that any 3-figure score with 3 at the front is a good score in international cricket. although we have discussed that the West Indies leave some runs out there and the 328 was below par, 328 is still a lot of runs. What happened to our bowling on Saturday, Raja?
I think it's generally consistency, game plan, and game awareness for a lot of these bowlers. Again, we know that free 300, as Marna said, it's a decent score. But in modern day cricket, in modern day ODI cricket, it is not one of those scores that you would say I'm safe. You have to get out there and you have to bowl well. You have to go ball by ball. And I just don't believe our bowlers executed as well as we should. Someone like Shamar Joseph went for over 7 and over, went for 70 runs in his 10. Gudakesh Moti went for 71 and 9. So you can see there where we lack that consistency. Jaden Seals, 8 overs for 66. So that tells you that if everyone is not pulling their weight and they're not doing their jobs, we're going to struggle. And we really need all our bowlers to really be consistent throughout various spells and really have a game plan going in. And I just don't think the West Indies have found it. On paper, I think we have a decent bowling attack, but the execution is just not there.
Basil, when I look at this bowling attack, I'm coming to you, Basil. When I look at this bowling attack, Basil, Jaden Seals, probably less than 10, maybe about 15 ODI, or probably less than 10. Gudakesh Moti, also very inexperienced, although he has been bowling well. Matthew Ford, definitely less than 10. Shamar Joseph making his debut. The man that bowled best for us on Saturday was the veteran Ruston Chase. Were we asking too much from this young bowling attack when England start to charge? Because despite those figures that Roger Tracy had just brought to our fore, it was really that one bad over from Moti, Seals, and Joseph back to back that really put the match out of our reach. Your thoughts, Basil?
Yeah, they're a very inexperienced bunch. I think when you look through our team as a whole, it's a very inexperienced team that is playing. I mean, you look at Shea Hope, Brandon King, the Evan Lewis, Alzarri Joseph, I think, and Ruston Chase are probably the only guys in the squad. Well, obviously Shimron Hetmyer, I forgot about him, but that have played over 40 ODIs. And why I use the number 40 ODIs? I remember years ago listening to commentary, and Graham Smith, the former South African captain, was on commentary. And he was making the point, it was an ODI match, and he was making the point, when he came into the South African team, Mark Boucher was the wicketkeeper at the time, veteran. And Mark Boucher told him something. By the time you would have played 40 ODI matches, you would have seen everything there is to see in ODI cricket. So you would have experienced the full gamut of ODI cricket. So from then, you can't use inexperience as a excuse. And because of the experience you would have gained, you would have been sharper in your game awareness and so on and so forth. And so we got a bunch of bowlers that are now going through those growing pains of international ODI cricket. And as Roger correctly said, 328 is not an out-of-reach total in the modern T20 game. And the minute you give a team a sniff, because as I look through the England lineup, and young Bettel was under 100 in his strike rate. The other guy who made a 50 up top, Sam Curran was 100. Then one of the openers was 100. It's only Livingston of the guys who made serious runs had a hell of a strike rate, and that's the kind of player Livingston is. He is able to accelerate through his innings and Shea up tempo the pace, and that is something Carty and Shea Hope. Shea Hope to a less extent, but more so Carty. Carty bats at the same pace throughout his inning. And if Carty is going to enjoy a long ODI career, he'll have to change that, because I went through Carty's career, every game he's played. He has never in his entire ODI career had 100 strike rate in any match.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to say this last thing, just to put it in context. His strike rate in ODI cricket is 67. That's what you see in Test cricket. So he needs to buck up on that.
Thank you very much, Basil. I appreciate that. But while I certainly believe that Carty and Hope should have ticked over some more, and I'm on to the bowlers now, but because you introduced the strike rate, I really think, gentlemen, the crux of the matter was that Shimron Hetmyer, who was supposed to be the finisher, only batted 11 deliveries. And you see, like how Livingstone built up to that crescendo?
Yes.
That's what we wanted from the finisher, Hetmyer, coming in at number 6. You cannot leave 42 balls out there as the finisher. I put it to you, gentlemen, there was a time in England innings when the West Indies bowling looked absolutely toothless. Alzarri Joseph have gotten a lot of beaten for being expensive. But there are some of us who are always pointing out that Alzarri Joseph gets wicked. I put it to you, gentlemen, and to all of you listening to me, that if Alzarri Joseph was playing on Saturday, West Indies would have won that match. Let's hear from you first, Basil.
I agree with you. Despite his expensive or his high costs, Alzarri is also wicket taker, because his big supporters will tell you he is fastest to 50 wickets in ODI history for any West Indian fast bowler. And we have had a lot of illustrious luminaries that played for the West Indies in ODI cricket. So he is making up for where he is not as consistent in terms of his economy rate, in terms of getting wickets. So yes, and of all our bowlers, I think he's the most penetrative. One of the issues I have with Mr. Moti, for example, is that Moti seems to only perform at the really top is when he's bowling on a pitch that's giving him help. But when he's on a good pitch, like that one on Saturday, it's a different story. And that's an area of his game he got to improve.
Raja, your views on my opinion that Alzarri Joseph would have won the match for West Indies on Saturday.
Carlton, I agree with you 100%. Alzarri is what you call an impact bowler, impact performer. He is someone who, as you rightly mentioned, he takes wickets and he takes them at the right time. Yes, he might be expensive, but he's going to get you those wickets. He's going to get a Livingstone out, right? And even if Livingstone got away for a quick 30 or 40 runs, at some point, Alzarri will get these impact wickets. So having someone like him in the attack would have definitely helped the West Indies cause. Overall, Matthew Ford, he was our best bowler, and he's also inexperienced. I believe ability is experience. Gone are the days, a lot of these guys play a lot of cricket. Jaden Seals has been playing Test cricket for 2 or 3 years. I understand it's not ODI, but he's also played a lot of list day cricket. Shimron Joseph may not be as experienced as the rest, but he's also a pretty good Test bowler. So we expect these guys to really come to the fore and perform. We have seen where in other teams, Sarfaraz Khan comes in for India. New players come in for England all the time, and these guys hit their straps right away. So I'm not gonna use inexperience as an excuse. I believe ability is experience.
Thank you very much, Raja. And that's the beauty of this community. Everyone is allowed to express their opinion freely, and all opinions content. So I appreciate you. The other thing I want to add to Joseph not playing in the match is that, as you said, ability is experience. But let me say, Raja, that I think that that's another factor that Joseph would have had to the bowling group as the leader of the attack, as the most experienced one. I saw in the first match where he was speaking to Matthew Ford in particularly, and I hope, and I also think that he would have had that factor had he played. I want to come to two players now, gentlemen, who are not playing in the series. Basil, Justin Greaves. What a season he has been having. Yeah, he has scored now 300, I think 300 and what, 54 runs, 354 runs, and have still not yet been dismissed. Not
Correct.
no, sorry. He has scored 3 consecutive centuries, and yesterday he made 151 not out. What are
Yes.
your views on Justin Greaves' performance?
Look, he has done something in West Indies State cricket tournaments that has never been done. That's one. Two, the 151, he broke the record of my friend Ed Lewis for the Leeward Islands highest total in list A with that 151. So kudos to him for both achievements. Look, we have to. The guy is obviously knocking on the door very hard to Mr. Sammy. That look, you have to give me a look, right? With scoring. So by this is something you tell the players. Look, you don't depend on the selectors. You be your own selector. Now you are for what he's doing here is forcing their hand, and I will tell you this, Mr. King better be paying close attention because with these scores this guy get, Mr. King could very well see himself on the bench and Greaves starting when Bangladesh comes to play the ODIs coming up later on this month. So I give kudos to him for his performances. I got to give the guy some credit also because this is a guy that he got picked into the test team as a matter of fact because of his heavy scoring in list A cricket when he went to Australia. It was not off of first class cricket. He got into that team, and so maybe also I'm just talking about Sammy, but this runs can be something to the Mr. Kohli that you can consider me also for the test team for the upcoming series.
Thank you very much, Basil. Roger, as Basil mentioned, Brandon King certainly under pressure. I've made mention of it that for Brandon King last 11 innings, he would have passed his age only twice. And the 38 that he made in that 100 partnership with Evan Lewis probably secure him for the rest of this series. But come Wednesday, he need to score big because as a thumbnail on this video said, Greaves kicked down the door and have forced himself into the room, and you have to do something special to get him out. What are your views on Greaves, and what do you think Brandon King in particularly has to do to keep Greaves off this team?
Justin Greaves has certainly done all that can be asked of him as far as scoring runs. However, when I saw Justin Greaves last play ODI cricket in Australia, he did have a glaring weakness to the quicker bowlers with the ball tailing back into him lately. Tailing back into
But
him
Shea
late.
Hope also has that weakness.
Right. So hopefully that's something he would have worked on. We know, Carlton, that and you have to play who's in front of you. But a bowling attack of Anderson Phillips, Terrence Hines, Kari Peer, Joshua James, Jade Gooley, Jason Mohammed isn't the strongest. All right. And I'm not trying to pour cold water on Greaves' performances, but the teams he has made his runs against, they're not necessarily the strongest bowling attacks. So he did great making these hundreds. Again, it's never been done before. So he certainly deserves a look in at least into the squad. Darren Sammy, Captain Shea Hope, and the selection, well, I guess that's a selection panel. you will really have to look at players and identify players who you think are good enough for this format, players who you think are good enough to perform in the system, and to play in the manner um, that the team wants to play. I believe that someone like Brandon King has been identified as one of the better players, and he's someone that you have to back. You have to give him the backing and give him the confidence. Brandon does need runs. That is true. But I think someone like Brandon King, you want to definitely back him. Having said that, Justin Greaves could be brought into the squad, but for now, I don't think he gets ahead of Brandon King just yet. Brandon King also early in his ODI career played in the middle order, and perhaps in longer format cricket, maybe that's the correct place for him. Shea Hope, a lot of people have said perhaps should go back to Hope in the batting. So that's probably a direction I would go before replacing Brandon King. But certainly Justin Greaves deserves a call into the squad, but I don't think he gets in for Bangladesh.
Thank you very much, Roger. I will say two things. One, if Brandon King doesn't make 100 in the match coming up on Wednesday, he will have to watch Justin Greaves against Bangladesh. The second thing I'm going to say is that all these players who got into the West Indies team made their runs against regional bowlers. The third thing I have to say is that if Greaves' performance is not outstanding, why aren't the other batsmen making more runs than him? What Justin Greaves is doing is nothing short of brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Basil, you have any comment?
I like how you post that, but Roger said something that is interesting, and I think some thought can be going to that, because I really and truly don't think Brandon King really is an opening batsman, right? You were talking about the Roger pointed out in Australia, where
Justin Greaves
Justin
was
Greaves the bouncing it coming back into him. The same problem Brandon King has too, because we all know Brandon King loves to hit the ball through the cover, so he puts that foot across. And if you noticed in the first match against England, Turner in particular was tucking him up, right? Because they saw the Sri Lankans quieted Brandon King in that same manner, right? So both of them have the same flaw. I agree with Roger. I think Brandon King, they need to be looking at Brandon King. Maybe Hope should go back and open and put Brandon King in the middle, because I think Brandon King would be a much better person in the middle, because this is a guy could accelerate through the middle, because that is his style. He don't have to go and be a ball beater or slug. He is a free scoring batter and can hit the ball. And unlike Hope could clear the ropes, but Brandon King could clear the ropes better than Hope.
Yeah, thank you. And that's why I appreciate the divergence of views. We all have different opinions. The other thing that I want to say about Greaves before I come to the other player that I want to ask you guys about. I would have said a lot about him, and I don't have any more to say about him, but I want to ask you guys about him. But I think that when Greaves gets back into the ODI team, which he should be really given an extended run. We saw when he played against Ireland in 2022, he looked very gassy after making a lot of runs. And you must recall that Greaves is the only West Indies batsman that is averaging 40 in regional cricket. He's averaging more than 40, so that has something to say. Coming to your first this time now, Roger, and it's the young man that is in the squad. There's a lot of conversation about him, Joel Andrew, whether he should play or not. What is your view on Joel Andrew? I ran a poll on Saturday, and 60% of the respondents think that he should have played for the Leeward Islands yesterday. The West Indies should release him, while 40% think that he should stay in the squad. That's very close, very, very close. But I as I said, I have said a lot on it. I have nothing more to say on it. What are your thoughts on it, Roger?
So I would be very interested to find out what is the messaging from Darren Sammy and the team to Joel Andrew on his selection. Are they just bringing him around the squad so he could, hang out with the big boys, gain some experience? Or is a message that I think you're ready to play? Because I believe there are other batsmen in the region that are ahead of Joel Andrew. I don't believe he should have been selected in the squad, even to Sri Lanka. Maybe he could have been taken as sort of a development and told, hey, you're a development option. We're going to bring you along. And we'll see how things go. Hang around with the big boys, practice with the big boys, and perhaps later on, we'll see how you progress. I believe guys like Kevin Wickham and these fellows should be ahead of Joel Andrew. I listen, bringing these guys in too early could destroy their careers. I don't know how he's gonna react when he faces up to the best bowling attacks in the world, and you want him to keep building his confidence. Now that we're in the Caribbean, he should 100% be playing Super 50. I believe it's a poor decision to have Joel Andrew in the team. One, because he's not gaining that valuable experience by playing with the Leewards, and also I just don't believe he's quite ready.
Basil, over to you.
I agree. I agree with Roger 100%. I thought picking Joel Andrew in the first place of Sri Lanka was a mistake. Kevin Wickham is a better player, hands down. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. I think Kevin Wickham would have feel hard undone. And unfortunately, because of our current selection structure, Mr. Sammy would not be watching at first class cricket, that he would have seen Kevin Wickham in action in the last first class season to know that this guy is of high pedigree, right? This is the young player that we need to be exposing, not Joel Andrew, right? All due respect to young Andrew, I agree with Roger 100%. He should be playing for Leeward Islands. You're not going to get better sitting on the bench with the West Indies team. You're going to get better playing cricket. That's how you get better, not sitting on the bench. So I disagree with that. I disagreed with that whole thing of putting him in a team, Maybe it's Sammy's ego that he feel that he sees something more than everybody else, and he can put this guy in the team.
But Basil, two things. One, what about those persons who are going to say that Wickham has an attitude? And the other thing that I want to say, but Basil, you sound like you hate Joel Andrew, man.
No, I don't know nothing about Joel Andrew. Let me just say this. I don't understand that. Selection for me, there's nothing personal. I'm cold-blooded, like a cold-blooded assassin. That's how I am with selection. And I am very high about meritocracy to selection. I mean, I watch Joel Andrew, but I don't see nothing about Joel Andrew that is going to make me say, oh, wow, I must have this guy in the team. Look, the guy had a good inning, one good inning in the first class when he made 87. He had a nice 50 in his first T20 game. Or what happened then? Down the line. We do not have a cricket structure in the Caribbean that can produce world-class players. So we cannot jump and pick some youngster and say, oh, this guy, we must take this guy, particularly batsmen, right? Fast bowling is a different story. You could take a young, raw person quick and introduce them to the highest level, but not batsmen coming out of our structure. So, I think it's interesting. Sammy talked about he gonna pick Joseph on hype. I think he picked this youngster based on pure hype.
Okay, thank you. What about the attitude from Wickham though? Because it's a general feeling that he does not put out the effort, and he would have been a much better player if he was putting out the effort, if he was zoning in on his game.
What do you mean by effort? Because that's a loaded word.
Yeah.
Because here, Carlton, I can tell you this about Wickham. When I was in Barbados, I went to see a club match. He plays for Empire. He and Warwick Chase and them play for Empire. They were playing Wanderers. Wickham was wicket keeping the day I went to watch the match. I was told the fault, because this is how they do it in Barbados. Because Barbados is the only place in the Caribbean that still plays 3-day club cricket. So they play the first day of the club match, the 3-day game on Saturday. Then all the teams go and play on Sunday, the 50 over competition. And then they finish the last 2 days the following weekend. Wickham and the following weekend came out from behind the stumps and bowled pace and destroyed the team and won the game for his team. On top of that, he made 100. So I don't know what people mean. The guy wicket keep, the guy bowl, the guy bat. So I don't know what and the general consensus, because Bajan people been telling me about this Wickham guy is the most talented batsman in Bar. I've been hearing this, right? And I remember seeing him when he came into the World Cup on the 19 team. He was a replacement player because of the COVID and promptly made a century in the world on the 19 World Cup. But it's when he made 100 this past season in Jamaica is when I really got a chance to really sit down and watch him bat. And I had to tell my Bajan friends, I see what you guys are talking about. This guy, as one of my Bajan friends said, the más sweet as sugar.
Yeah. All right. But Basil, what you just said is probably two of the reasons why persons are saying that he doesn't have the right attitude, because there's a clear vacancy for a wicket-keeping position in the West Indies team. A clear vacancy for a backup, a cover to Joshua De Silva. Mm-hmm. And there's also Joshua De Silva game is not 100% sure if you have somebody pressing him. So persons thinking are saying that shouldn't Wickham, with his wicket-keeping ability, try to claim that position? And they are also saying that with this immense talent that everyone is saying that he has, why is he not producing more runs? But that's just food for thought, Basil. Let's just run through some of the
I just want to say this too. Wickham bowls leg break, and I would hope that he could develop that, because we need leg break ball in the West Indies.
So Wesley McPherson is saying it was a batting wicket, no question about it, 650 runs. I guess he means then that we did come out below par. While Gerard Mead on the other end are saying that we lost the second ODI because the so-called world-class bowlers were exposed
and overrated. Exposed, ordinary, and overrated.
I don't agree. I don't think our bowlers are ordinary.
Who are the world-class bowlers?
Eh?
Who are these world-class bowlers he's speaking about?
No, but Gudakesh Motia isn't Gudakesh Motia a world-class bowler, Basil?
Nah, I wouldn't say that. He ain't doing enough to be a world-class bowler.
But he's ranked second in the T20 and the T20 ICC list.
That's T20, but with the ODIs we played.
But nonetheless, he never said that the bowlers were world-class. He said that they're so class.
Right. Because I'm saying to him, nobody calls any of our bowlers world-class because their records don't reflect that.
Fair enough, but I think that this bunch have the potential to be world-class bowlers.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
Alzarri,
and they must be given time and encouragement. They are young in the game, as you saw. None of them played 20 ODI already. So we cannot be bashing our youngsters like that. We must give them time to develop. And these guys have the potential. So we, as the mature adult, should be really backing these youngsters. Gerard Mead is saying that Hetmyer doesn't seem to realize that we know that he is a super batsman. So he doesn't need to still try to convince us. He needs to focus on winning rather than strive for personal glory. What do you think, Roger, about that comment?
Absolutely. He's right. I think Hetmyer came out looking a million bucks and really looking really, playing $1 million shots, really looking as if he was trying to show how good he is, how many sixes he can hit and how far he can hit them. And as you mentioned, there were about 6 or 7 overs to go. So that wasn't necessary. He could have taken it deeper into the innings. But again, Hetmyer has the mindset of someone who comes in the last few overs and he feels he just has to go after the bowling. I like the Hetmyer that played ODI cricket um, between 2000 and I believe maybe 18 to 2020, that scored 500s in his first 2 years, who batted earlier and played more throughout the innings and then accelerated. That's a Hetmyer I want to see, which is why I want to see him playing in a role where he's batting through the middle overs, running hard with Shea Hope, and that will obviously help him to also work on his fitness.
And the other thing to add to that, Roger, that was it. Might have hardly had played any T20 cricket.
Well, that's true.
Basil, do we lack the killer instinct?
No, and look, winning is also a learning process, because it is when you go back and analyze any sport, it's usually the team that makes the least mistakes in the crucial moments of the game that come out on top. And a lot of times that comes with experience, because oftentimes younger players will try to want to do too much, or they shrink with the pressure of the movement. Whereas the more experience you get, you find that you are able to not panic and to go through that process, that remembering the process is only about simply your focus is on executing, and you could do that without the outside noise that's going on in the game.
Thank you very much. Donald Popo is saying that not Juna Benjamin think that we were 40 to 50 runs short. Donald Popo is healing up the crew.
Right on.
SOX Music Labor saying that he agree with Roger. 327 is average in this era. Well, none of us will disagree with that. Definitely, 327 is par, Basil.
Yeah, I think it was par. Yes.
Right.
But unfortunately for us, as as a bowling unit, we have been struggling to contain our especially in the winning moments of the game, or take wickets as a bowling unit. We've been very inconsistent with that. I would love to see a big Bravo be part of, not necessarily the West Indies setup, because there might be some schisms between him and Sammy.
Yeah,
but
he's never going to work with Sammy. Never.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would like to see him at the A team level and on the 19 levels. And also like what they had him doing a couple years ago when they had the 50 over tournament in Antigua. He was roving around with all the various teams. Why you couldn't bring him back to have such a role again here in for this 50 over? We're right there in Trinidad, right?
Roger, do you think the West Indies will win the last match?
We should. I think England, although they won the last match, I mean, let's face it, I do believe on paper, man to man, West Indies have a much better team as currently constructed than England. England is, a more inexperienced team, a lot of new players. And I do believe overall the West Indies has a better unit. I think if the West Indies come out and play to their full ability, and try to execute, and obviously bring Alzarri Joseph back into the fold, I think the West Indies should be able to close the series out.
Yeah, thank you very much. What do you think, Basil? West Indies need to pick up good leg spinner to support Chase and Moti for the Bangladesh series, but not Aiden Walsh Jr. That's Roblox Gamer Boy 3 saying, welcome, Roblox. Good to see you. Basil, who is that? Leacock?
No, not Leacock just yet. I would go back to Carrier, or the Trinidad call him Carrier. I've watched Carrier bowl in a couple of matches, and I think he has been very showed a lot of control. He bowled one bad over yesterday match, which was his last over. He gave away 17 runs, but he has shown a lot of control. So I would give Carrier a look at the Bangladesh series.
Thank you very much, Raja. I think you share this view. Hey, Raja, look at that comment. This Gary LaRousse is saying that Shimron Hetmyer should be batting at 4. But is that a fantasy? Is that a fantasy, Roger? Because Shea Hope have clearly decided that he's going to bat at 4. For us to want Hetmyer to bat at 4, isn't that a fantasy?
It's not a fantasy. I believe Shea Hope is a versatile player. He could move to free or he could move back to open.
But Roger, Shea Hope have said that I'm batting at 4. Argument done. Isn't it a fantasy if it's still asking him to move and want somebody else to bat at 4?
Well, if Shea Hope is a team player, he's captain of the team. I don't think he should be taking that stance. I don't know why would Shea Hope say that he's not moving from 4. But again, I mentioned before that Hetmyer could also bat at number 3. I would prefer Hetmyer at 4 and Hope at 3 or opening, right? But I don't believe that's a stance that Shea Hope should be taking. I would like to see Hetmyer somewhere at 3 or 4. It's interesting that the second sentence of this comment here from Gary La Rosa referred to Hetty as hefty.
Thank you very much. Basil, so here's Glenn Cambry saying, Seals is a good test match bowler. With 3 slips, gully, short leg, none of those luxuries in white ball cricket. So unless he gets wicket helpful to him, no wickets. This is just rubbish, Basil. Go ahead, please.
I agree. Seals is still a very, very young. His experience in ODI cricket is not great. Right?
Basil, before you continue, and I will allow you to continue, but I want you to take this while you're going on. My perspective is that Seals is an international bowler. We saw it in Test cricket. We need to give Seals enough one-day international cricket for him to make that transition also to be a world-class one-day international bowler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my position. Continue now, but I just want you to react to that too.
Repeat what you just said. Seals
is a competent test bowler.
Mm-hmm.
I've been successful playing test cricket, which is international cricket.
Mm-hmm.
Bowling is bowling. He probably doesn't know his game as yet in one-day international cricket. And for him to evolve into a real world-class one-day international bowler, we need to give him enough match for him to find his game in one-day international cricket.
I agree. That's why I said he is still very new to the ODI game. And as the comment states, in the ODI game, you're not going to get the 3 slips in the gully and so on, because his stock ball is the one that leaves the right-hander, where the 3 slips in the gully will be waiting to take the catch. So he has to find his how he can use his tools in one-day cricket. Look, well, I'll give another example. An example. Look at Josh Hazelwood. Josh Hazelwood is that guy that hits that hard length in Test cricket and so on. And when Josh Hazelwood first started playing white ball cricket, he found that was not enough at times and got hammered at times, and he had to find how to maneuver using his metronome-like ability to hit that hard length over and over.
Thank you very much. Paul Goodman is saying that genuine congratulations to Greaves, but be cautious. Your leading players are playing against England, which means his achievement is a little less spectacular. Well, I guess Roger was saying similar to that. I don't want to take anything away from the man. Gary LaRose is saying that Greaves is another Brooks. Every scoring in a poor quality competition doesn't mean you will perform at a higher level. Brooks is a testimony to that. I want to say, though, that happens all over the world. And in this situation, you cannot use a brush and paint everyone. everyone deserves their chance to tell you whether they are able to do it at that level or not. Isn't that so, Roger?
Well, there's a point there, but at the same time, I don't believe selection is just a simple matter of looking at who scored the most runs um, in the competition. Otherwise, you just use computers to pick your team. I believe you still have to be flexible. You still have to look at these players. You still have to identify who you believe the best players are that will matriculate to the next level. If you believe that a Brandon King is a better player than Greaves, despite the runs that Greaves is scoring at this point, you have to back a Brandon King. I'm not saying you don't bring a Greaves into the squad and have him shadow these guys, and then at some point he'll get an opportunity. But I think, for me, you have to identify whoever better players, back those players. I like the England way of doing it right now, where they back someone like Zach Crawley, right? And Duckett. I mean, Duckett is obviously scoring a lot of runs, but they backed Zach Crawley even when he wasn't producing at the level that some people thought that he should. But they knew based on his potential, he could potentially be a world class player and importantly a match winner. And I believe that someone like King has those capabilities. I'm not throwing cold water on Justin Greaves. I believe he has done well, and he should be brought into the squad. But certainly, from me, it doesn't replace anyone right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Basil, here we have Sherwin is checking in from New York, and he's saying that, Mr. Brown, I told you Justin Greaves should have replaced Older for 2 years now. But what I want you to react to, Basil, is that he's saying that King is afraid of bowling over 90 miles per hour. I will drop him yesterday. And your reaction, Basil?
No. I seen King hit guys who bowl 90 miles out of the park. So I don't know what he's talking about. I seen King hit 90 miles or fast, bowl straight back over the head for 6. So I know what he's talking about.
Okay. You'd have watched the match, Roger, on Saturday. Here is Edward saying, an old saying in sports, offense puts the points on the board, but defense win the game. Ground fielding and catching was not up to par. How do you react to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why in my sort of opening salvo, I said, sure, Hope and Carty should have perhaps batted with a bit more intent after getting set, and maybe along with Hetmyer staying a bit longer, we could have gotten more runs. But at the same time, I do believe that we made some costly errors in the field. As long as the inconsistency from the bowlers on the defensive side of the ball, which ultimately cost us the game as well. Livingston, the hero who made 100, was obviously dropped on 4. So absolutely, I believe that is a very correct assessment.
Thank you very much. Basil, I keep on saying that. Basil, JMT Border is saying here, Sinclair is no longer taking part in the Super 50. Is that true? He made ducks yesterday. True?
He has been replaced in the squad by his namesake, his relative, Junior Sinclair.
Is there any word on that, Basil?
I know what happened, but I'm not at liberty to say on a public station because I'm not the Guyana Cricket Board. That is the job of the Guyana Cricket Board to tell the public why they have replaced Sinclair, and they haven't. So who is to me to say, although I know why he was replaced?
Basil, does it has anything to what we heard in the past in England and in St. Lucia?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much, Basil.
I'll tell you offline when we get off.
Okay, thank you. Sherwin is saying, Basil, that you and I are biased as we laugh about Greaves. Is Sherwin correct, Basil? Are we?
No. Well, let me say this to Sherwin. I was on and so this is public. He could go and check. Go to the Mason show and the thing, and if you want, go through and find the show. I was on that show with my cousin, Roland Butcher, who was a selector, right? and the question was asked about the team going to England and so on. And Roland was of the position. Here was Greaves he showed us something in Australia. And now you're gonna turn around and say, sorry, man, we gotta go back to Holder, right? What are you saying? What message are you giving to this player? I agree with Roland that Graves should have still remained in the squad. So when Mr. Sherman said bias to Graves, no, he's got the wrong person. I thought Graves should have stayed because hear what I said. Albeit Holder is much more experienced. Holder's played cricket in England and so on and so forth. But Graves was bowling in Australia, as we all saw. He was bowling really well. He quieted the runs. He bowled consistent, and more than anything else, he was bowling quicker than Holder, right? And he had a few useful scores in Australia. Nothing to really shout on, but you could see, and his fielding was brilliant, right?
Roger.
So I had no reason for taking him out of the squad.
Okay. Thank you, Basil. Roger, Mr. Casanova, I think in response to your views that Joel Andrew should not have been in the squad. Now are there are a lot more variables, and it is not like it is black and white, but there are other variables that would have considered. But again, I would have said what about Joel Andrew, what I need to say on Saturday, and I'm not going to say anything more because I put forward what I think was in the best interest of the young man. But here, Roger, I want you to respond to Mr. Casanova one and say that didn't Sachin Tendulkar started his international career at the age of 16? Same with Shahid Afridi from Pakistan. So why Joel Andrew cannot start his international career? I would just say, though, that none of us are saying that he cannot start international career at that age. Go ahead, Roger.
Well, I want to first start by saying I think Joel Andrew is a tremendous talent. I believe he has a future. There is no dislike for Joel Andrew. I want to make that very clear. However, there are not many Sachin Tendulkars. And Sachin was dominating big men since he was 14 and 15 years old, right? Joel, while he has potential, I don't believe he's at the level that Sachin Tendulkar was in 1988 when he began his international career. And that's it. I just believe that Joel Andrew would be better served developing his craft in our current regional tournament. I also believe there are many batsmen or few batsmen ahead of him at this stage. In the late 80s, early 90s, Team India didn't have the best team going around. I'm not saying we do at this point, but they could have gotten a prodigy in Sachin Tendulkar in. And as it relates to Shahid Afridi, I mean, I don't know if he was 16.
That's a very good point here.
That was 16 based on Borsuki, but he was not 16.
That's a very good point because I recall at the time that many persons in the international press was even questioning whether I was 16. So Basil, this is for you. Sherwin is saying that Joel is the cricketer who is going to stop Imlach from becoming the next West Indies wicket keeper. And basically, that's why you are biased towards him. That's what Sherwin is saying.
Well, Sherwin then said, Basil said, I need to watch Joel Andrew play. Ask Sherwin if he saw Joel Andrew when he made 100 in the Under-19 World Cup. I saw that 100. So I don't know what he's talking about. I seen Joel Andrew play on the 19 regional cricket. I wonder if Sherman saw that. So there is no biasness here at all. And the person to Roger about Sachin and Afridi, we can't make that comparison. At 17 years old, Brian Lara was way, way better than Joel Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
right? And he couldn't even sniff a West Indies team at 17.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Basil. So Jomo is saying that Moti ODI record is close to world class, and Sherwin is saying that Moti is a world class spinner. Jomo is also saying that Hetmyer flattered to deceive. Has he done that? Has
Hey,
Hetmyer
hey,
flattered
hey,
to
Sir
deceive?
Captain, you got
Yes.
some rough viewers, yeah?
I mean, at this point, I mean, based on his returns, you'd have to say that. But we all know Hetmyer's ability. I don't think anyone here disagrees that he has tremendous ability. Has he performed since his, returns in the last 6 months or so? Not necessarily, but we expect more from Hetmyer. But he has certainly flattered to deceive so far.
Gentlemen, this is a very good one. Lima played a brilliant innings. Secondly, we all know that our bowling isn't penetrative enough, that Jay is saying. But it comes back to what we are saying, gentlemen, is that the innings that Lima Livingstone played is what we expect from our number 6, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so Carlton, maybe some people don't even realize that was Liam Livingston's first ODI 100.
Mm-hmm.
He had never made an ODI 100 before that. So Hetmyer has way more pedigree than Liam Livingston. Way, way, way more. Liam Livingston has had that reputation of this hard hitting English power batsman, right? But his runs in terms of ODI cricket have not been up to scratch, right? So Hetmyer is way, way more above Livingston is now. Hetmyer got to get his head straight and understand he's batting in an ODI game. He's not in a T20 game where he comes in and batting 11 balls and the inning is over. As you pointed out, Sir Carlton, 44 deliveries were left in the inning when he was out. And he left that job to lesser players to hurry up this thing in terms of Chase, in terms of the power hitting, Chase and Ford. That's supposed to be Hetmyer's job, man.
And that's a really good.
We are here more than a hour now, gentlemen, and Basil will have to go shortly. So we're going to just try breeze through these. Karen Fritz is saying that he thinks the team can chase anything, but we need to get the bowling right. What are your thoughts quickly, Roger?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I do believe we have potential in this group of bowlers. Obviously, Alzarri cannot play every single game, so we're doing the right thing by rotating these fast bowlers. Someone like Akil Hussain, I believe, has to come into the mix. We just don't have a good enough leg spinner at the moment, and while it would be nice to have one, we have to play our best bowlers, and I believe Akil Hussain is one of our better spin bowlers.
Basil, is there an issue with the batting lineup? Hassan Abdullah is saying that why aren't we talking about the batting lineup? Is there an issue with it?
Look, as you said, you said when Hope became the captain, and that was even before Sammy came in, because his first tour as captain, he was under the interim coach there, Kohli, in South Africa. And from then he went to bat at 4, if memory serves me correct, where previously he had been opening and been very successful at opening. But the minute he became captain, he dropped down to 4. And he seems to want to have that position. That's something for them to decide if they feel Hope is the man that is best suited. Because I feel like a Hope and Evan Lewis, where Hope is the anchor and Evan Lewis is the guy that would be really the one who could go along. And then a Brandon King can drop down into the order, because Brandon King, in my view, is a guy that can accelerate his game better than Hope, in those middle overs. So they might have said they might also say that why Hope should be there is because they feel Hope is one of our better players of spin, and usually the spin is bowling the middle overs. But if you're gonna be batting under 100 strike rate, we gotta look at all of those factors and see if there's any way we could think of this lineup.
Gentlemen, I want to put this to both of you. You and I, we here believe that Shea Hope should be opening. Many persons in this community believe that Shea Hope should be opening. When you go on the road, people believe that Shea Hope should be opening. Do you think that Sammy believes that Shea Hope should be opening, but Shea Hope is saying to Sammy, I am batting at 4?
Carlton?
No, I don't think so. I think Shea Hope and Sammy would have to be on the same page.
Yeah.
I don't know if Shea Hope has that type of personality to say, I'm gonna bat at 4 and that's it, I'm not moving.
No, it's he said it in an interview with the West Indies media that he's batting at 4. That's where he's batting. So don't ask me anything more about opening. He said that.
Well, if he said that, it's
Yes.
in stone, Roger. It's in stone. So let us don't even. I don't even think it is worth the discussion. If that is the stance that he's had, there's no need for us to continue talking about somebody else batting at 4.
I love this point from Ray Phillips. Won't react to it, but I love it, so I'm going to read it. Greaves is showing us what the other batsmen should be doing, and that is forcing the selectors with his bat. Averaging 40 is not an accident. Basil, no one else in the region is averaging 40 in regional cricket.
Oh, yesterday while I was watching him bat and I saw his thing came up on the screen and I saw 40. I said, very good, young man. I mean, when we see a West Indian domestic player with a 40 average in any kind of cricket, it's time to take a pause because that is a rarity these days, right? Yes. So we got to give the youngster kudos.
So Sherwin is saying that Joel Andrew is not just a batsman, he's a wicket keeper also.
Yeah.
Basil, you and I would have followed a lot of cricket.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in no way taken away from Joel Andrew achievement. Because what Joel Andrew's fans must realize that as a 16, 17-year-old, if he has competition in the Caribbean, it is good for West Indies cricket.
Yes.
Because should he become a leading light in the West Indies team, no matter how many runs he makes, he alone cannot win the matches. So right. We need other competition for Joel. So I hope we understand and mature enough. Joshua Morris, the wicketkeeper batsman from Barbados, who made the most runs in this year under-19 tournament. How do you see him stacked up to Joel Andrew, Basil?
His wicket keeping is comparable. I think he's a better glove man. Now he's going to see how he fares as a batter because that's going to be the clincher. If I'm not mistaken, he made a few runs in the first of the stay match this year for Barbados. He made a few. So he's a guy in contention, and obviously Imlak in Guyana is another guy in contention. I think it's good because I am still not convinced about De Silva as a wicketkeeper. I saw yesterday he probably could have cost his team the game when trying to receive a ball. He hit the bails before he collect the ball, and when he knocked the stump, the guy would have been run out. But because he hit the bails off the wicket before he collected the ball, he had to pull the stump out, which he didn't do, and the guy was in. So. You know, I mean, those kinds of mistakes from a guy who is the international test wicketkeeper, those things are not, up to par. That, I don't think he is, even though the West Indies and others trying to push him, that he is the answer for us there.
One of my biggest challenge with Da Silva is reading of the DRS. He tends to get a lot of DRS wrong. Roger, your final comment, please.
The West Indies just need to turn up.
For the show, your general final comment.
Right. My general comments are really going to be about the upcoming game. I just believe the West Indies has to bring back our impact bowler in Alzarri Joseph. And we have to look to execute well. We have to look to be consistent and play 100 overs of cricket. Playing 80 or 90 or 95 overs of cricket is not a winning formula in ODI cricket. We have to look to play 100 overs of cricket. While batting, we have to look to really maximize strike rotation. We have to, when batsmen are set and go deep into their innings, we have to look to accelerate. Again, I do believe the batting order, especially that 5-6, I think Rutherford has done for the last two series what someone like Livingstone did yesterday. I think he probably has a better head to play that finishing role at number 6 than Hetmyer. Some might say he's played so well, why would we promote Hetmyer over him? I don't look at it as promotion and demotion. I'm just looking at the best person for that particular role. I believe Rutherford is a better number 6 than Hetmyer. The bowlers, again, they have to be consistent, right throughout, and try to stick to the game plan.
Basil, your final comment?
My final comment is along the lines that, look, we're in Barbados for the final game. These games are really important because your rankings plays a role whether or not you're going to go to qualifiers or you automatically qualify. And we know how we are with qualifiers. So England has come with a team with some guys who are looking to make a name. And this is an opportunity for us to stamp of our authority and get a win. Because every time you beat a team that is ranked above you, it helps you in your rankings going up the ladder. So I'm looking forward to seeing Alzarri back in the 11 and looking to see better execution from our bowlers.
Thank you very much, Basil. And as we come to an end, Dre saying that I commend the team for batting 50 overs. And what a good way to end. I also was very, very happy that the team had batted 50 overs. Now that they have batted 50 overs and scored 328 runs, let's see if they can at least repeat batting out that 50 overs again on Wednesday and scored another 328 runs. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Basil. Thank you, Roger. I'll see you again tomorrow afternoon for the live watch-along between the Leeward Islands Hurricane and the Guyana Happy Eagles as we take in Justin Greaves. Bye. Until then, take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones.